Hello, my name is Adriana and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Okay, so today I want to talk about how you can get your plants from this in their just basic nursery that they came in to this in a brand new home, and they're happily and replaced into a better home, more comfortable and better for their root systems. Why should you repot your houseplants? There are many reasons. Well, if you want to have just like good plant hygiene, usually depending on the plant, you want to repot them every 1 to 3 years just to give them some fresh new soil. Maybe your soil has gotten a bit calcified. I don't think any of my plants have actually received that, but you'll kind of see just buildup of like calcium on the very top of their plants. I'll try to put a picture here of what calcified soil looks like. Or maybe your plant has become root bound, and root bound plants will have some very obvious signs. This plant here, you can kind of see a few roots coming out. That's probably a telltale sign that it's starting to outgrow its nursery pot or its pot, depending on whatever pot it is in. This one also has some very clear roots coming out, and if I took it out, they probably would be root bound, but I don't want to take it out just yet. I'll go ahead and put a picture here as well. So this here is going to be just very slight root boundedness, and then here would be just kind of like a medium scale root boundedness, and this would be some severe root boundedness. That's horrible. Don't let it get to this point. But I mean, if you do, there's ways to go about it. You just repot your plant. A few reasons why root boundedness isn't that great for your plant. I mean, unless you actually do not want your plant to get any bigger than that, it probably should stay in that pot that it is in. If you don't want it to get larger, if you have a monster and it's like ginormous and there's no more room that it can take up, then you probably can keep it in the same pot. I would say maybe changing the soil for its good health after a few years, but otherwise you can keep it in the same pot. But if you do start to see it go downhill, because being root bound kind of stops allowing the plant to grow, because it's basically stuck and it can't go any further and grow further roots to give it better support to go higher, like grow taller is what I meant. So you'll start to see your plant diminish a bit. The leaves, if you start to see the leaves, what used to be really good growth start to slow down, you should probably check on your roots, see how they're doing. If you see your plant starting, like your leaves starting to yellow, that's probably something to do with the roots. It's just good if you see something going on with your plant to try and diagnose it. So usually it's water or maybe sunlight, but sometimes it is the roots, and that's one of the big important reasons to repot your plant. Another big thing I haven't had to deal with personally is pests. Sometimes you get some bugs that like to infest your plant, and they can get into the soil, and you have to change all your soil completely to try and get rid of them and cure your plant of those pests. When should I repot my plant? Like I said before, if you don't see any roots coming out of the bottom, which is a good when, I would say every 1 to 3 years. Also, the perfect time to actually repot your plants is during the spring or summer, in the beginning of their growing season, because that's just when they'll thrive a bit better. Or during a humid time. It just really depends on where your environment is. If you're closer to the equator, further from it, there's just so many different variables, but it just really research your area and when it is best. But for me, I am in Texas. Spring and summer is probably the best time. And if my plant just needs it, like this plant really needs it. Now let's talk pots. So there are different kinds. There are clay pots, there are plastic pots, there are your nursery pots. These also can be considered plastic. There are also I don't know. There's metal, there's wood, there's all kinds of pots. But if you are a beginner, I consider myself a beginner, I would say clay pots are the go-to. Mainly because they are porous, so when you water it, like you can actually see this kind of still has some moisture in the clay, but there are little holes in the pot that allow moisture to seep through, like out or in if there's, you know, a lot of humidity. It also lets air into the soil, air out of the soil. It's just nice, I guess, filtration. I don't know. But your plastic pots, your metal pots, most other, basically all like ceramic pots as well, they also hold the moisture. They do not have the porousness that clay pots do. Another big important thing with pots is having proper drainage, like this hole here. There's also still sticker. There's this drainage hole, but that's really important for allowing water to fall through, and you can get a little saucer like this to go right under it, because when you water your plants, you do want to water them completely. You don't want to do a light little water and only this much of your soil has gotten wet. You do want it to be fully seeped through, and a bit of water should be collecting kind of on the bottom of the tray. But if you don't have any kind of drainage, the water will kind of sit at the bottom of the plant, and some plants don't like to have wet feet, so you can potentially end up getting rotten roots. I forgot what the word is. I'll put it up here because I don't know what it was. But they can basically get rotten and rot away, and then your plant will start dying because the roots are dying. And that's the whole base. But you can put a plant in a hole, like a pot with a hole. I cannot talk. I'm so sorry. But there's more to that, so that'd be a whole separate video that I can talk about. But yeah, so that's what you really want. So I would say ceramic pots are some of my favorites. Basically all of my plants are in ceramic pots. Now these specific plastic pots, they don't have holes clearly, but they do have this tray which does come off with a little bit of force. It's usually not hard. But yes, and they do have holes, so you just have to empty out the bottom tray. So what you're gonna need is a pot, whatever you want, whatever works for you, and obviously a plant that needs repotting or replanting, or you're wanting to replant. So today we have these two. I have soil. I keep my soil in a little bin. I just started this, so don't come for me if you know that. I put it in a little bin, so I also have this little scoop that helps you scoop the soil. I put it in the cup. You also need a watering can, which I do need to grab. But I believe that's everything you'll need. And if you want to wear gloves, you're more than welcome to. I just don't really care. So the first step in repotting your plant would be simply taking the plant that needs to be repotted out of its original pot. For if you have a nursery or something kind of flexible, you can actually just kind of squeeze the sides to help you get the plant out of its container, and it usually will kind of loosen up. You want to fully grab all of the roots completely, because you don't want to take some out, and just kind of massage it, shake it, and here we are. You can see how much this guy needs repotting. I don't know if you can see, but he does need a lot of love and care. But you see all of his roots coming out. This is why we were potting him. So we gotta take it out like so. Now if you have a plant that you don't have a nursery, so you can't easily take it out, you can scrape the sides of it with like maybe a butter knife, being very careful not to hurt any of the roots and whatnot. But nurseries are easier just to do. Step number 2 would be to tease the roots. And when I say tease the roots, I'm really meaning to kind of work out the roots from being so stuck in a little knot, basically, which they're in. Sometimes you might have to break some of the roots just to allow it to want to grow later. If we leave it kind of stuck like this and bound, it might just not go into its new plant. So, new soil. So, yeah, you want to do that. If you have like dangling roots, you don't really have to do this, just because it's already ready. Our next step would be to measure out how much soil we're going to put at the base of our pot, to how deep our plant is going to sit, and how much soil we're going to put on top, and also how much space we're going to leave so that when we water it, no water kind of spills over. So that's what we're going to do next. So what you can do is you can get the plant and you can kind of measure up this nursery to the edge of the pot, and you can see that we're probably going to need about that much soil at the bottom of our, if you see the difference between the two pots, that difference is probably how much we're going to need to put on the bottom of our pot. So I'm going to do that very quickly, and for now I'm just going to let this sit in its nursery just so it's not just hanging around, laying down and whatnot. Here is the soil. I'm putting in the amount that I measured out previously, kind of pressing it into the bottom of the pot. Some people like to put like rocks or broken pieces of clay to kind of stop clogs at the bottom, but that's just gonna happen. It's fine. You can fix it later. I just don't think it makes that big a difference. Okay, now I'm gonna take my plant, make sure that that was enough soil or maybe too much soil, and it looks just about right. So now I'm going to start filling in the little spaces that are between the old plant and the wall of the clay and fill it in with soil. So I'm just going to take my soil and literally just put that in there. Okay, so then once you get kind of all your edges completely filled in, I like to just chop it and kind of just do that. And it kind of gets some air pockets. Some of the soil will fall down and I know I have to fill it in, but it looks pretty filled. So what you're also going to do is just kind of firmly press on the soil and just make sure that it's pushed all the way down. If you have to, add a little bit more soil to some areas that when you press it down, it is falling into and filling more space, so you need to put more. Now that all of those steps are done, you have one more step, and it's very important, and it is just to water it. So you're going to water your plant very thoroughly. I have my little watering can here. You're going to do a nice thorough watering, because the watering allows for air pockets to close and basically compact all the soil that we just put in. And you want to make sure you give it a good one. Now if you watered it right, water should be kind of dripping through the bottom. You can put your little tray there now, and the water will kind of fill up the tray, and it will be ready to empty, and your plant is now transplanted. Now this is just how I repot my plants. Everyone kind of has a little bit of a different way of doing it. And you can go ahead and watch so many other videos, learn your own way of doing it, do the research. Every plant honestly is a little bit different, wants a little bit different soil, so it just takes a little bit of research. But this philodendron is very happy now in its new home and gets to grow more and promote new growth, because she's popping out babies left and right, let me tell you. Now we have both of our plants happily transplanted. I have successfully made a mess. That is another thing. If you don't want to make a mess, you can totally do this outside. I just don't do it outside. I don't know. Or you can put like a trash bag or something. I don't know. Maybe I just like being messy. I don't know. But thank you for watching. I will have another video out on Thursday. So make sure you subscribe, comment, like, do all that good stuff. And I will see you then. Bye.